What would you do if the man who promised you love and luxury suddenly ripped your dress in public? This is the story of Annabelle, and what happened next will leave you in shock. Annabelle loved attention. Every evening, she crafted something dramatic for her WhatsApp status just to get men flooding her inbox. On this particular cool evening, the rain had stopped and the sky was turning dark. At exactly 7 p.m., she typed one short sentence: "Buy me a dress and take it off later." Then she added a playful emoji and hit post. The reaction was instant. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Dozens of men filled her DM. Some begged to take her shopping. Others promised her designer clothes if she agreed to spend the night. Many used the same cheap lines she had heard 1,000 times before. She laughed at their desperation. She replied with LOL or "bring money nah." To her, it was a game. She was the queen, and these men were just pawns. But then one message stopped her scroll. It wasn't the usual begging or empty promises. It was short, bold, and calm. "I don't play around. If I buy it, I'm sure I'll be tearing it off you later." Annabelle froze for a second. Who was this? She quickly tapped his profile. His name was Felix. Unlike the others, his status wasn't filled with memes or thirst traps. It was classy. Business trips, airport lounges, expensive meals, suits and clean shoes, pictures of him at meetings, at conferences, at restaurants. He looked serious, successful, different. Annabelle felt a spark of curiosity. "You think you can buy my kind of dress?" She typed back, testing him. Almost immediately, he replied, "I can, but are you bold enough to let me tear it off?" Her heart skipped. The confidence in his words was unusual. Most men begged for her attention. Felix demanded it. She smirked, typing fast, "Won't your woman mind?" Felix's answer came sharp and steady. "You tell me. You're about to become mine." The arrogance in that line made her laugh, but deep inside, she was intrigued. Who was this man who didn't fawn over her but instead made her feel like she was the one being tested? She thought about ignoring him, but her fingers betrayed her. She kept replying. They talked late into the night. His words had a pull she couldn't resist. He didn't waste time. He didn't flatter. He spoke like a man who always got what he wanted. Annabelle finally agreed. "Fine, let's meet. Buy me that dress." Felix replied with a simple, "Tomorrow." Annabelle closed her phone and lay back on her bed, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, she wasn't in full control of the game. For the first time, she felt a strange mix of excitement and danger. The next afternoon, Annabelle dressed carefully. She wanted to look expensive, untouchable. She painted her lips red, slipped into tight jeans, and carried her small designer purse. When Felix's call came in, his voice was calm. "Meet me at the mall. Don't be late." "No, please. No begging. Just a command." She felt her stomach tighten, but she obeyed. When she arrived, Felix was already waiting. He stood near the entrance, phone in hand, suit perfectly ironed, his presence commanding. Heads turned as women passing by whispered to each other. He wasn't just rich, he carried himself like he owned the place. "Annabelle?" he asked, looking her up and down. She forced a playful smile. "Felix." Without wasting words, he led her inside, straight to the luxury section, the kind of boutique she only dreamed of entering. Annabelle's eyes widened as she touched the glittering fabrics, dresses that sparkled under the lights. "Pick one," Felix said. She hesitated. Any? Her fingers trembled as she lifted a shimmering gown covered in crystals. The price tag alone could pay her rent for a year. She pretended to think, but deep down, she wanted it badly. "I'll take this one," she said softly. Felix nodded and paid without blinking. No bargaining, no complaints. Annabelle felt a rush of victory. At lunch, Felix took her to a 5-star restaurant, the kind where waiters bowed and soft music floated in the air. She ate like a queen, snapping secret pictures for her friends. She wanted to show off later, but something about Felix's steady gaze stopped her. He wasn't like the other men who bragged and laughed. He was silent, controlled, watching. After the meal, they stepped outside. The sun was setting, and the street was buzzing with cars and voices. Felix walked beside her, hands in his pockets. Then he leaned closer and whispered, his breath brushing her ear. "Remember our deal? I get to tear it off you." Annabelle froze mid-step. His tone wasn't playful. It was a promise. Her heart thudded, but she forced a smile and licked her ice cream slowly, trying to look bold. "Sure," she teased. "Just be ready. I'm difficult to please." Felix's eyes narrowed. "I don't need to please you." Before she could laugh it off, it happened. With one swift movement, Felix grabbed the neckline of the glittering dress she had just put on. The expensive fabric gave way with a loud rip. Gasps erupted from people on the sidewalk. In one brutal motion, the dress split open, falling apart in his hands. Annabella's body was exposed, her arms scrambling to cover herself. Faces turned. Cameras lifted. A crowd gathered. Her world spun in shame and shock. And Felix? He stood there, cold and calm, as if he had only proven a point. But what he whispered next would make everything even worse. The crowd's murmurs grew louder. Phones flashed, recording everything. Annabella's hands shook as she tried to cover her chest. The glittering shards of fabric clung weakly to her body. She couldn't breathe. "Felix!" she gasped, her voice cracking. "What are you doing?" He leaned close, his calm face inches from hers. "I told you, I don't play games." Her knees trembled. This wasn't the romantic adventure she imagined. This was humiliation in its rawest form. Tears stung her eyes as people whispered, "Isn't that the girl always showing off online? See her now, naked in the street." The words stabbed her chest. She wanted the ground to open and swallow her. But Felix wasn't done. He bent low, his voice only for her ears. "You thought you were clever, playing with men, using them. But tell me, who's laughing now?" Her body froze. How did he know? Felix's voice grew sharper. "Did you think I messaged you by accident? No, Annabelle. I've been watching you. Every status, every trick, every man you mocked. One of those men was my brother." Her heart dropped. "He gave you money," Felix continued, "and you tossed him aside like trash. Do you know what happened after? He killed himself. All because of you." Annabelle's lips trembled. What? That's not." But Felix cut her off. "I made a vow that day, to give you the same shame you gave him. To strip you until you felt the same nakedness of spirit he carried before he died." Annabelle's tears spilled. She shook her head wildly. Please, I didn't know." Felix straightened, his voice loud now, sharp enough for the crowd to hear. "Look at her. This is the so-called Annabelle, the one who thought money made her untouchable. Today, the mask is gone." Laughter erupted around her. Some people pitied her, but most mocked. Cameras zoomed in, capturing her broken face. Annabelle crumbled to the ground, clutching what little remained of the torn dress. She sobbed openly, her pride shredded like the fabric. Felix looked down at her one last time. "Now you know, every action has a price." He dropped the ripped fabric at her feet and walked away without looking back. The crowd parted for him like he was royalty. Annabelle was left trembling in the dirt, her body exposed, her reputation shattered. For the first time in her life, silence filled her phone. No messages, no admirers, only the echo of her own humiliation. And deep inside, she knew her reign as Annabelle had ended that night. But little did she know, the viral video of her humiliation was just the beginning of a downfall she could never escape.